They looked perfect to everyone else, a man who adored his wife, and a woman who trusted him completely. Their 10 years of marriage were the kind others envied, but what no one saw was the quiet distance growing between them, a distance that started with long work hours and excuses that sounded too polished. James had always been reliable, a provider, a man who honored his vows, but everything shifted the day he met Elena. She was bold, different, and seemed to challenge everything he thought he knew about himself. It began innocently, or so he told himself, until the boundaries blurred. Monica, his wife, noticed first in the smallest ways, the missed calls, the quiet dinners, the lack of eye contact. At first she brushed it off, telling herself marriage had its seasons, but deep down, a knot of doubt was tightening, one she could no longer ignore. Elena was everything Monica wasn't, or at least that's how James saw it. Where Monica was stable and kind, Elena was spontaneous and fearless. He found himself drawn into her world, a world that made him feel alive. Even as guilt crept closer every day, James began coming home later, smelling of expensive perfume that wasn't Monica's, his phone locked now, his temper shorter. Monica's heart raced with every lie he told. But she held back, watching, waiting for the truth to show itself. The truth came crashing down one evening when Monica followed him, her heart pounding, her eyes wide with disbelief as she saw her husband in the arms of another woman, a woman who looked at him like she owned him. Monica's world shattered in that moment. She confronted James that night, tears and fury battling in her voice, but what hurt most wasn't his confession, it was his hollow apology. As if he'd already made peace with breaking their vows, as if her pain was just collateral damage. James moved out soon after, leaving Monica in a house filled with memories that now felt like traps. She cried for weeks, asking herself where it all went wrong, blaming herself at times. Until she realized this betrayal wasn't about her shortcomings, it was about his choices. Meanwhile, James tried to build a new life with Elena, but what started as passion soon felt heavy. Guilt seeped into every corner of their relationship, and arguments began to replace the excitement, the weight of what they'd done hanging over them. Monica, determined to reclaim her life, threw herself into work and therapy, slowly piecing together the woman she'd lost in her marriage. Friends and family rallied around her, reminding her of her worth, of the strength she carried. Even when she felt broken, James, now living with Elena, couldn't escape the feeling that something essential was missing. He'd thought Elena was the answer to his restlessness, but now he saw cracks, moments of silence that felt louder than any argument. Monica found new rhythms, filling her weekends with friends, hobbies, and quiet moments of peace. She missed James sometimes, but more than that, she missed who she was before the betrayal. And each day she moved closer to finding her again. Elena began to notice James pulling away, his eyes distant, his laughter forced. She asked him one night if he regretted it, and his silence told her everything. The glow of their affair now replaced by shadows of doubt and regret. Monica received a message one evening from Elena, a bold move, asking to meet. Curiosity battled with anger, but Monica agreed, needing to look this woman in the eye. To find some kind of closure or understanding, they met at a quiet cafe, tension thick between them. Elena spoke first, her voice steady but tinged with guilt. She apologized, but Monica wasn't there for apologies. She wanted answers, wanted to know what made her husband forget 10 years of love and loyalty. Elena admitted she never planned to fall for a married man, but excuses felt hollow. Monica listened, her face unreadable, her heart pounding with a mix of rage and sadness. When Elena asked if she could ever forgive, Monica simply said forgiveness was for herself, not for them. James, hearing about the meeting, felt cornered by his own choices. He reached out to Monica, asking if they could talk, hoping for redemption or at least a moment of honesty. Monica agreed, but with clear boundaries. She wasn't the same woman who cried for him weeks ago. They met at their old home, the air thick with memories. James tried to explain, to justify, but Monica stopped him, telling him she didn't need explanations anymore. What she needed was to move forward, with or without closure. James sat in silence, realizing the depth of the damage. The finality in Monica's voice shook him. He left that night knowing some wounds can't be undone, no matter how deep the regret. Monica stood by the window after he left, tears streaming down her face. But this time they were tears of release, of letting go. She felt the weight lifting, a quiet strength taking its place. She was ready to face whatever came next. James and Elena's relationship continued to crumble, mistrust and guilt poisoning every moment. What once felt like a thrilling escape now felt like a cage, both of them knowing deep down that love built on betrayal rarely lasts. Monica started dating again months later, cautiously but with hope, each new connection reminding her that love wasn't the enemy, betrayal was. And she deserved a partner who saw her worth every single day. James watched from afar, his heart heavy with regret. Seeing Monica smile again, living fully, he realized too late that he'd lost more than a marriage. He'd lost a woman who truly loved him. Elena moved out, their breakup quiet and inevitable. She left a note that simply said she hoped he found peace someday. James sat alone in their empty apartment, the echoes of their choices haunting him. Monica, now thriving in her career and personal life, looked back on that painful chapter with clarity. She saw the growth, the strength she never knew she had, and those scars remained. They were reminders of her resilience. James tried therapy, hoping to understand his choices, to face the parts of himself he'd ignored for too long. The sessions were hard, peeling back layers of denial and selfishness, but necessary if he wanted to rebuild any kind of life. Monica's friends often asked how she forgave, and she told them forgiveness wasn't a gift to James or Elena, it was freedom for herself. A way to move forward without carrying their mistakes on her shoulders. James reached out one last time, sending Monica a letter, not asking for another chance but simply expressing his remorse. Monica read it with calm acceptance, her heart no longer tied to his pain. Elena found new love eventually, someone who met her without baggage, and though she carried lessons from her past, she stepped into the new relationship with caution and hope. James, alone but more self-aware, began to rebuild. Small steps, learning to sit with his regret without letting it define him, understanding now the true cost of his choices. Monica married again years later, this time to a man who matched her strength and kindness. Their wedding was small, intimate, filled with genuine joy, a new chapter that felt earned. James heard about her wedding through mutual friends, and though it stung, he smiled sadly, wishing her well from a distance, knowing she deserved every bit of happiness. Elena left the city, starting fresh in a new place, her past a quiet shadow but no longer a chain. She found peace in small things, learning to forgive herself. James stayed in therapy, continuing the slow work of healing, building a life rooted in honesty, no longer chasing temporary thrills but seeking real meaning. Monica's new marriage thrived on communication and trust, lessons hard won from her first. She often reflected on how far she'd come, grateful for the pain that shaped her strength. James sometimes passed by old places filled with memories, and while sadness lingered, he no longer let it drown him, accepting that some mistakes leave permanent marks. Monica's friends often remarked on her glow, her peace. She smiled knowing it wasn't just happiness, it was the result of surviving heartbreak and choosing to rise anyway. Elena visited the city once more, passing by the cafe where she met Monica, a moment of reflection washing over her. She whispered an apology to the wind, a final release. James took up new hobbies, filling his days with purpose, the ache of his past still there but no longer consuming, each day a step toward redemption. Monica's children, from her new marriage, grew up hearing stories of resilience and strength, knowing their mother's past wasn't a source of shame but of courage. James occasionally received updates through old friends about Monica's life, each time feeling a bittersweet pride, happy for her even as he mourned what was lost. Elena's life settled into a quiet rhythm, love, work, and peace blending together, her past a quiet teacher reminding her always to choose wisely. James wrote a memoir one day, sharing his story, not for sympathy but to warn others about the cost of betrayal, hoping his mistakes could serve as a lesson. Monica attended a book signing for his memoir, not out of malice but curiosity. She listened, nodded politely, and left quietly, her heart at peace. James spotted her in the crowd that day, their eyes meeting briefly, a silent exchange of acknowledgement, no words needed. Their chapter closed. Monica's life blossomed, travels, love, laughter, each day a testament to her strength. She no longer looked back, only forward. James continued his quiet life, finding purpose in small moments, The past a scar but not a sentence, learning to forgive himself piece by piece. Elena married quietly, her new life peaceful, her past woven into her story but no longer the defining chapter. She too had moved on fully. Monica, older and wiser, reflected one evening on her journey, grateful for every twist and turn, knowing her strength came not despite the pain but because of it. James, sitting alone on his porch, watched the sunset, a quiet smile on his face, finally understanding that peace isn't about erasing mistakes but making peace with them, and in that moment, he felt whole at last.